Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel today. This is Paul from Kentucky Tacklebox, and today I want to talk about fishing rooster tails and specifically some of the issues that crop up when you're fishing rooster tails and maybe one easy way to fix the problem. So rooster tails are, they're one of my favorite lures to throw, and I like to use them in a lot of different sizes. The one I'm holding in my hand happens to be a brown, like a dark brown color. That's 1/8 of an ounce, but I use 1/6 ounce, 1/4 ounce, and I even have a couple 1/16 ounces I've thrown. And for me, I like them a lot. The one drawback I have found using them is that they do tend to impart a lot of line twist in your fishing line. So as you're winding them, as they spin around, as the blade will spin back and forth, the lure sometimes will spin along with it. And what happens is it tends to cause build a twist into your line, and that can lead to problems with things like wind knots and birds' nests and things like that. So one of the things that a lot of guys talk about doing on YouTube and some other fishing platforms is using a swivel. So I've got a couple different swivels here in a couple different sizes to show you what people do. And what I'm going to use today is just a small, like a black size swivel like this. And there's a couple different ways you could attach them. And the first one might be the easiest, but it adds a lot of hardware, and that's this. It uses like a swivel on one end, and then it has like a little retainer quick clip on the other end. And you could actually just tie this end to the line and then just move your rooster tail around, clip it in, and then you're going. But what I don't really care for about this is it makes the lure a lot more bulky. And I think one of the things that makes the rooster tail work so well is the fact that it's not a very bulky lure. It's more of a finesse style lure compared to some of the sizes of other lures that you'll throw when you're fishing. So what I decided to do is something a little different. Another way you could do it was you could actually tie the line onto the swivel at one end, add a split ring, and then split ring it to the rooster tail. That would be another option as far as attaching a swivel there without having to add the quick clip. Now, there's some pros and cons to doing it this way. Obviously, if you need to switch lure colors or something like that with the swivel or the split ring on there, it's not going to be as easy as it would be with a quick disconnect. And so that's why I'm not really a big fan of this idea either. It would work, but the thing is, if you snag and break off somewhere in the creek or lake where you're fishing, you're going to end up losing the lure, the split ring, and your swivel most likely. So what I came up with was something just a little bit different. And let me show you on my own rod. Let me just I just rigged it up this morning, so this is what I've done. And what I have here is I have my fishing line, and it's tied end one end onto the swivel with just a simple Palomar knot. And then at the other end, instead of using a split ring, I just actually took a little piece of line and did a knot between them, just a knot with a couple of overhand knots in it, and then it's attached there. So my hope is that if I do fish it and I get snagged up, what will happen is I'm hoping that it will break here, and then I'll still retain the swivel in my line, and all I would have to do is retie on a new rooster tail just using a short piece of fishing line. So that will require me to carry a little extra fishing line in my tackle bag, which I usually do anyway when I'm fishing. So I'll have some of that handy. And the other thing you could do to kind of help ensure that if you do snag up that you don't lose all the pieces is you could use a lighter pound test line where you direct tie on your swivel, and then a heavier pound test line up here on your main line from your reel. And that would definitely help to make this the weak point where it would be more apt to break and go away first if you snag it. So that's how I'm going to do it. And one other thing I'd like to show you while we're talking here is this weights, because when you're fishing, the more mass you get, typically the better casting you're going to get as well. So let me just zero out my scale here real quick. Let me try to zero this out. There we go. Okay. All right. So anyway, I'll lay an 1/8 ounce rooster tail on there. As you can see, it's 0.12. So 0.125 would be about 1/8 of an ounce. So now let me just throw on the weight of the swivel next to it, and you'll see it jump up to 0.14. So now what I have is, because I've added the swivel to the rooster tail with just a little bit of line tie, I've slightly increased the weight. When that's going to actually help with casting, especially when I'm using like a light rod or medium light rod in a creek, and I want to get a little more distance. So there's actually an added benefit there. So you have the benefit of the swivel helping you prevent line twist on your reel, and you also have a slight amount of extra mass, which is going to make the lure cast a little better as well. So think about it. If you're fishing rooster tails and you like them like I do, and you want to get out there and mess around with them this spring, I'm gearing up to hopefully get out here in the next sometime in February and do some creek fishing. I got a buddy down in Tennessee that we're talking about getting out here in the next couple of weeks to get out to a couple places to fish. So I'm rigging up one of my creek rods with this 1/8 ounce rooster tail. And this time of year, I prefer the darker colors. My other rod, I'll show you real quick what I'm going to use on that one, is going to be just a jig head. And you can use an 1/8 ounce or 3/16 ounce. I think this one happens to be a 3/16 ounce with a crappie magnet. And this setup will be my two rods that I'm going to take to the creek. And I'm going to use these going after things like rock bass, some small largemouth, some small spots, or some smallmouth in the creek this time of year. So anyway, just something to think about if you're fishing rooster tails and you want to try and help remove the line twist problem, because really they're a fantastic lure. They catch a lot of fish, and the only real drawback is the line twist. And I think if you use a swivel, kind of like what I've done, I think that'll help you, and you'll find it a lot more enjoyable to fish those particular lures. So as always, thanks again for watching the channel. And get outdoors when you can. It's a great place to be, and we'll see you next time.